This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
What a morning, what a beautiful morning. Look at that. You can see the sunrise, the reflection up in the sky. A very, very good morning and welcome to the beginning of the morning safari. This is Sydney from Niconico, and I'm traveling with Craig, who is my camera operator this morning. Please don't forget that this is an interactive activity. You can talk to us on Twitter, #SafariLive. You can also follow us on YouTube chat stream. My plan this morning is very easy. I'm just going to carry on from previous, looking for the spotted cats. And I'm very happy that earlier this morning, maybe it's Tingana, there was a saw picked up around the Viotella Pen area. So I'm just going to investigate around there to see if we are not going to see any of these leopards. So it's nice and cool this morning. A good morning again. And I'm very happy that the weather is not bad. It is warm a little bit, but much better, which is good for these animals' movements. So there's some tracks here. There is a lion track. A lion has been here as well. There is a very big lion track going to the pen. So now let's go to Steve, who's just about to start on a guided walk.
Morning everybody, welcome once again to another beautiful morning here in Djuma in the Sabi Sands. My name is Steve. I'm joined on camera once again by Davisito, and we're on foot for the first time in 3 months. Very excited to be out. I'm sure Sydney has informed you of all the social media hashtags. Please send through your questions. We'd love to hear from you. We're going to head sort of down towards the pan as well, see if we can give Sydney a hand tracking any of the cats. Who knows? Hosana's definitely around the two pans, and there was a leopard apparently calling about 4:30 this morning. Herbie heard a monkey alarm calling down that direction about 20 minutes ago. So we're going to go down, see what we can find. Jump on board. Hope you got your hiking shoes on. Got some water and a backpack with all the necessaries, because, well, you never know what you're going to need out on foot in the African wilds. And what a beautiful morning it is indeed. Beautiful morning. Welcome back to being on foot, hey Davisito. Very nice. So obviously what we're going to do is we're going to do big circles around the pan, see if there's any tracks that we could come across with regards to any of these cats. Tingana being quite elusive on foot. We're just assuming that he was the one calling. Very hard to say. Maybe Hukumuri is back in the area. I doubt it's Hosana calling, but we do know that he is around somewhere by the tracks yesterday. It is a favorite haunt from him. Okay, so as the dawn approaches us slowly here in Djuma in the Sabi Sands, David Gitu is out on drive. Not sure what his plans are going to be this morning. It's probably still dark up there, but no doubt another beautiful morning in the Mara.
A very good morning and jambo jambo everybody. It's a lot easier for me to say jambo jambo instead of saying good morning, because it could be different times where you come from. And as usual, my name is David. On camera with me is Archie. Archie, good morning. Very exciting day, and please, it's just too dark here. The only thing you can see is my handsome face, and nothing else you can see. It's just too dark. But we're just hoping it will brighten up later in the day, and we're going to start seeing wonders. This is a very chilly morning for me. We are talking of 17 degrees Celsius and about 73 degrees Fahrenheit. Pretty cold for me. I don't have my green shuka today because I forgot it. I slept rather late because we had very heavy rains last night. And my plans today is to go to the Sausage Republic. I haven't seen them for 4 days, and I'm going crossing fingers. Hopefully I'm going to see new cubs, either with that one female or with Kingtail, okay? And of course, as I said, as soon as you start getting some better light, hopefully we'll see some animals You see, I have to switch on my spotlight so that I can see where I am going. Last night the rains were very heavy and we stayed on the big road like this, and towards the end of the show all the flaps were down. We had to power down because of the thunderstorms and the lightning last night. Well, about 9-10 o'clock the rains stopped and we haven't had a drop since then. So mates, hopefully just like me, cross your fingers to cross your toes, and hopefully we are going to find the sausages today. As I said, 4 days have not been there, and the last time I was there I got stuck. That area has lots of black cotton soil and it's a very flat area. So if you get in the flats, or rather if you get on the ruts of the road, your car just sink. And every time you try to spin your tires to come out, you keep digging yourself in. So something tells me we'll see the sausages today. So stay tuned and don't go away. The only thing we can see now will be silhouettes of animals, be they elephants or buffaloes. But for the small little animals like cats, could be difficult. And maybe what I might be doing now is to use my spotlight just in case I don't pass something important on the side of the road. But from the camp to where the sausages are is quite a distance. So sometimes I'll avoid using my spotlight and I just keep going. I must have missed the comment from Paula. Paula, do you want to ask about? Paula, how are you today? And sorry, I don't have your favorite shuka, green shuka today. As I was saying, I forgot it. But I tell you, in Kenya, we are in the East African time zone. Juma in South Africa, in the Central Africa time zone. And we are 1 hour apart. And you can see the difference, Paula, of the 1 hour. It's total darkness here, but I think, or I guess I had, was watching some beautiful sunrise. So this is how the time zones change all over the world. And we are only less than 1,000 kilometers from Juma. But that 1 hour makes a huge difference. Tomorrow, Paul, I'm going to remember the green shuka and I'll come with it. Again, as I said, for 73, it's a bit chilly for me, 17 degrees Celsius, but hopefully it's going to warm up pretty quickly. What I found out, when it starts very cold like this in the morning, the afternoon we'll always see clouds building up, and then later on we'll always get some rains. Short rains the last 3 weeks, I would say, and they might be going on maybe towards the end of the month. It's very normal, but this time the short rains came rather late. And everybody out here is smiling from the vegetation that has turned green. All the herbivores, you'd see zebras jumping up and down. And I'm trying to imagine also the cats are having a wonderful time, knowing their prey or their food is doing very well. Well, I'll put my mind and heart on the road now and try to get the Sausage Republic. But in the meantime, we'll take you back to South Africa, to Sydney.
I am going to start from the Buffer's Hook cut line, as we have just picked up an audio of some lions roaring on this side. So that is where is going to be my starting point, and shortly after that is then that I will be coming back to try and investigate the leopard saw. So we can't hear anything at the moment, but there has been some roar here somewhere in front. Yeah, the lions as well, they have been hiding for quite a while. Maybe now that was Tingana is in the area, the lions are also coming back. So I'm sure the sow, which was here early this morning, running about past 4, must be for Tingana coming back in his territory. Quite a lot of evidence on elephants here. They have been anywhere, they have been everywhere. I will try by all means to find a cat this morning. I have got quite a lot of hope on one of these. If not the lions, it will be a leopard. So I do miss these animals as well. Sarah, the chances of seeing the elephants, they are also very much high. As here where I'm driving at the moment is where I have last seen a small herd of elephants yesterday. Mrs. Lepwing, the Mangeni male, I don't have any update yet. I don't have any update on Unkuhumas as well. So, but they have been spotted here around some other private properties earlier this week. So now let's cross over to the guided walk where Steve is having something beautiful.
Yes, the sun is beautiful again this morning. We are down by Voyatelepan having a look for any tracks that might be in and around the area. This is a favorite spot for Hosana, but the ground is very hard, and a delicate little paw print of a cat, quite tricky on this ground. But don't worry, we've got Herbie with us, who's an expert tracker. He's just off to my left here having a look to see if there's any tracks coming down. We're going to walk through the dry panel or dam itself at the moment and see what's on the other side. Hosana likes to hang out in that sort of quarry type thicket on the other side, waiting for animals to come down, which he likes to ambush. That is the strategy of the little chief. And Herbie was just telling me the story of how he nearly got caught by the Unkuhumas a little while ago, which was I didn't even know about that, but he survived. I'm sure everybody's very happy about that, no doubt. Thank goodness, Emma, thank goodness. But he's a wily cat. He's got to learn how to survive all these things. James Richard, I'll most certainly keep an eye out for butterflies. There's a good time of year. There's not as many flowers out at the moment as I thought there would be, but it might just be where we are. As we get up onto the other side, maybe we get some more flowers out, but definitely we'll keep our eyes peeled. And I know you'll be able to help me with some of the identification. As well, some of these butterflies are quite tricky, to be honest. Always putting in a bit more work. It is looking greener, but it is quite an interesting time of year, folks. This whole area here should have water in it. There should be water here. There's not. So times are quite hard. Now, obviously, there is some water in the pan over there and at Gallagher, but other than that, the dams themselves are drying up, and, well, it could be a very long wet season, or should I say semi-wet season for the animals. But hopefully we're going to have late rain like we did this year, and it'll come in huge amounts and inundate the landscape, bringing back all the grass. No doubt the ticks will come with them, and with them will come the buffalo, or the buffalo and the ticks in whichever order. Talking about buffalo, here is some buffalo dung, which is quite old. Oh, I'm leaking. And it's always nice to have a little look underneath a pile of dung, see what is hiding there. Oh, there we go, little millipede enjoying his life underneath a pile of dung. Millipedes are regarded as detritivores. There's a small one, only a little baby. So they break down organic material, they feed on organic material, which then they turn back into soil. Very, very important in the ecosystem. Next to termites, they are very, very important. We've got a little cricket here as well. Amazing how it's actually a little bit moisture under there. You can see the coloration. So the dung itself will hold in moisture and provide a beautiful little microclimate here for all sorts of little insects. But we're going to close it up, put back the roof. There we go. Back to where it needs to be. So the buffalo moving through, they bring the dung, they break the soil as well, and just a basically huge movement of organic material moving through the landscape. Very, very important. Hello girl, this stick I found actually in the Northern Kruger, and I've just been reacquainted with it this morning. I haven't seen it in 3 months. I left it outside FC. I thought I'd lost it, but it's back. This is my favorite stick. It's my wisdom stick. It's very cool. It's also a nice golf stick. Some of you have seen me. Perfect golf stick. Oh, you see that swing? That was perfect. Well, thank you for the confidence in my golf there, Emma. I don't get to play too much of these days, and up in the Mara would actually be quite a nice place to play golf, but I'm sure you would just lose all the golf balls.
Well, still on the road, doing my thing, and as I promised, putting my eyes on the ground and heading to the Sausage Republic. The good news are it has brightened a little bit. It's much brighter than before. And I'm trying to catch an elephant and get a silhouette of an elephant or maybe a giraffe with the background of the torchwood trees, which are very iconic of the Mara Triangle. So if I get one big animal, I want to put it on the frame and have the trees in the background, and that will be beautiful to see this morning. And I'm looking at the eastern horizon, and at the moment it is still dark and grey. There is no sign of sun pushing up, which might translate to us getting some showers in the morning. Daniel, how are you? And I think I've been hearing your name again and again, and thank you for keeping asking us questions. Now, I'll tell you something, Daniel. The Masai Mara, or the Mara Triangle, and the Serengeti National Park in Tanzania, it's one and the same ecosystem. There's no difference. The plains, the hills, the rivers, the springs, the trees, the rocks, the geology, it's one and the same. And even the formation was, it's all the same. What I really want to say, Daniel, is Serengeti is in Tanzania, different management, of course, different country. And the Mara Triangle in Kenya, different country, different management. But in terms of everything else, the flora and the fauna, it's one and the same. And one thing that puts these two conservation areas together is the migration, because we'll have thousands and thousands of the wildebeest from Serengeti to Masai Mara and back that way. Until about a month ago, we had about 1 million of something of wildebeest here. So everything is the same. If we get some good daylight, and I'm sure you'll still be around, Daniel, we'll be showing you the plains of the Mara, which you also see in Serengeti. And Serengeti is a Maasai word that means endless plains. So the areas in Serengeti, if you look straight on like this, you see all the way to the horizon without any visual pollution. And I'm talking about without any trees, without any bushes on the way. Of course, there might be a small bush here, but you could see comfortably 20, 30 kilometers, 50 kilometers straight all the way to the horizon. And also we've got similar areas in the Mara. And that's why it makes it a lot easier to see certain games than in Juma, for example, cheetahs, because here we have more open areas. And even for the lions, you'd easily spot a lion from here, from 3 kilometers away, with a very good binoculars, of course. But in Juma, it's a bit tricky. You have to be very close to the, to the animal for you to spot it. All right, it's getting much brighter. I want to try and stop here and just pan for a few seconds, and you see, Danny, what I'm talking about. MDI, we want to pan this for you, and you're going to see how it looks like. As much it's not as bright, and I'm surprised, you're equally surprised that it's really different. It's not MDI, and should you come to Kenya one day, you'll see what I'm talking about. And if you visit both countries, it's basically the same what I'm talking about. Very open and not much of a difference. So Serengeti, in fact, we have always thought possibly in future we could have tourists visiting, both national parks or both game reserves without going through the customs and the immigration. Of course, that MDI is easier said than done. So if MDI, you come here, you're with me now, and they close your eyes, and they lift you up in a plane or in a balloon or in a basket, and they drop you in Serengeti, believe you me, you will not know the difference. It all looks the same. Actually, we have also included another area called Ngorongoro. So if you look on your maps, you're going to see Ngorongoro Conservation Area, the Mara Triangle, and the Serengeti. All that area is all connected. It's a very huge conservation area, because come the month of February next year, the wildebeest will be dropping their babies, and they always drop their babies on the eastern Serengeti National Park and the western Ngorongoro Conservation Area in an area called Ndutu. So the 3, I would say, conservation areas are all connected. The Mara, Serengeti, and the Ngorongoro. It's one huge area. But Serengeti, I would say, is almost 8-9 times bigger than the Masai Mara. Very good question. Is there Serengeti? Or is there a desert in Serengeti? No, there's no desert, not in the Mara and not in Ngorongoro Conservation Area. In these 3 different places, there are no deserts. It remains green practically all around the area. I think the nearest desert from Tanzania, from Serengeti, would be in Botswana, in a place called Kalahari. I don't think we have any desert in East Africa. Alrighty, time to move on. I haven't seen any elephants pretty close to the road that I would want to frame. Never too late. Thank you for reminding me now. I said earlier Serengeti means endless plains, and my apologies, I forgot also to talk or to explain what Mara means. Mara means spots. The local people here are called the Maasai, and if you take a balloon ride over the Mara, what you see are the open plains, but from up there you'll be seeing the plains dotted by trees or a small bush here, another bush there. So those kind of dots to the local people are called Mara. You're very right. Mara means dot, or basically a spotted area. The local people, the Maasais and Mara spotted area, that's why we call this place the Masai Mara. Thank you for that. Almost all the national parks or game reserves in Africa have a meaning. And just to let you know, I was talking about Serengeti and Masai Mara in Ngorongoro. Ngorongoro means the ding-dong, when people or the Maasais would have cows and the bells always going ding-ding-ding. That's what Ngorongoro means, the bells on the Maasai cows. Well, I'm going to still keep heading to my destination, and I'm sure Sydney is trying to look for some cats.
I am now on the Buffalo Cat line, heading much more towards the Balzook Dam area. I have not yet picked up the lion tracks here in the area, but they are somewhere here. We hear them. Maybe the roar was coming from inside the Buffalo's Hook. So I am now heading to the Buffalo's Hook Dam and check Central and go much more up towards the quarantine area. Maybe we might be lucky between Hosana and Tingana this morning. Lions, they might be looking for some water this morning. Something just happened here. I'm trying to check. Difficult to see the tracks here on a hard surface. It is much easier to now in the dry, but it must have to be during this time. During the day, the problem is when the sun is too bright, the tracks disappears. It's easy to see them. But also, the soil must have to be loose, because if it's too compacted, it's difficult to see the markings. So it's just that some of the areas here, they are much more hard and compacted because the rain washed away the fine particles of the soil. So now let's cross over to Steve. Maybe he might be having some trekking updates.
No luck so far. We've done a big loop around the pan and now we're heading towards Gallagher Pan. Herbie's quite sure we heard the monkey alarm calling. Something like that. It was more closer to the lodge itself. So we've gone a little bit more sort of south and now we're looping back. But here we talk about disturbance, we talk about buffalo moving through an area and depositing dung and breaking up the ground. And here is a classic example of an elephant that was either trying to access the root of this plant here or was just trying to pick up some dust and would have used its foot to kick like this into the sand and then pick up the soft, fine particles of the dust and then blow it onto its body, throw it onto its head, all sorts of reasons for that. Get into the paws, cover themselves. Elephants love dust bathing, but this little disturbance patch that you have here is going to change on the landscape. You can see that it's turned over the soil. It's deeper there. There's a lot of soft soil over here. Through the process of succession, any grass seeds that form now through the rains might blow into here and you might get a different little patch happening. So very, very important. Ecosystem engineers moving through, and the smallest of little digs like this could actually even eventually develop into a small pan, which then could go into a much bigger sort of dam system. It all starts with one little dig on the floor. So very, very important. The savanna biome is designed around disturbance. It's all about disturbance here. We talk about the savanna biome not being a stable ecosystem, but a resilient one, which means that it's constantly going through fluxes of change, and disturbance is exactly what a savanna is all about. The destruction of fire, the drought that comes through, elephants, all these things are part and parcel of how this environment has evolved. When you go into a forest and you do some damage in a forest, it takes very, very long time for the forest to regenerate itself, whereas out here, much shorter scale. That's how it has all worked. Catherine, it is indeed elephant landscaping, and I've actually had that question years ago from a guest when we were driving through the Kruger Park. They looked at the trees and the vegetation. They actually asked me, so who does your landscaping? It was a genuine question. So here we've got a second little disturbance mark over here, and this one's a bit easier to determine. There's some tracks just over here. Can you see the track? There's one track. There's a Franklin's foot. Here's a 1 toe, 2 toes, 3 toes, and then there's a back toe over there. This is what Franklin loved to do, like a guinea fowl. Franklin will move through and they'll scratch the ground, looking for insects, looking for all sorts of seeds that might be there, and then also go and do a bit of dust bathing with their body. So this turning over of the soil here is also another reason. Well, like the elephant's disturbance that is going on, and it changes the dynamic. You see how much, see the soil over here is a little bit harder. Here it's very soft, and any sort of grass that might fall in there, even a tree seed, has got potential to regenerate. And part and parcel of what succession is all about on these hard areas where the ground is quite tough, especially close to in and around water points where there gets a lot of use, a lot of activity from animals. It's important that animals come through and break the crust up. See how to break it up actually requires a bit of effort for something to grow in there. Very difficult for a seed to germinate on hard ground like that. So disturbance like this created by Franklin's, wild elephants, the passage of thousands of buffalo feet are very, very important for the dynamic that we have out here. Okay. Don't forget, send through your questions. Hashtag SafariLive. We'd love to hear from you. We're going to continue on this way towards Gallagher Pan, see exactly if we can find any sign of the little chief. But in the meantime, it seems that you can see more than David's face and hands this time because he's in color.
Very good, Steve. Now I'm in color and things are not bad here, because it looks bright and I'm trying to look for any animal that I would see. At the moment, nothing. I have reached to an area that we call the burnt area. Burnt area means there was some huge fire here a couple of months ago, and it wasn't natural fire, it was man-made fire. It was done by the game rangers, and of course they always have their own reasons to do that. And what happens after the fire dies down, all the vegetation is burnt. But the torchwood trees that I was talking about earlier are very solid, and they do not, get brought down by the fire. But all the grass goes, and what comes out after the rains is just beautiful. And I want to stop and show you that beautiful grass, which is very favorite with the with the Thompson gazelles, which translates to a beautiful cheetah country. Every time we have seen cheetahs, there's one particular or two particular females we have followed, one called Kakenya and another one called Naratoi. This is the storming ground, and every time you come here, chances are you'll always catch them. Well, that was just a snippet of the burnt grass area. It's a huge area, but I think that was not bad to see. And still trying to get close to the sausages. Once in a while, we'll always see them coming this close, and especially the two males that have been hanging around with them. There was a coalition of 3 males, and I'm sure most of you have been following us. There was one male called Kipuli, and he had 2 youngsters with him. And personally, I got a feeling that that coalition has been overthrown by 2 new males there. I might be getting my first animal here to the left, and I'll be showing you some zebras. And we think we've got 2 new males that have taken over from the Kipuli coalition, and those 2 males are in charge at the moment. Well, my first animal this morning are 2 or 3, 4, 5 zebras, small herd there, and they're enjoying this short grass. And it's very lush and full of vitamins and lots of other nutrients. All right. Okay. Destination. Ali, very good question. What's my favorite lion pride? Is the one I'm heading into. Ali, in the Mara, we got over 10 prides of lions in the Mara Triangle, over 10. And my favorite one is called the Sausage Tree Pride. Because, how do I explain this? For a number of reasons. In that pride, there are 5 females, all right? And they got 3 cubs at the moment. Those 5 females on their own, I have seen them on a number of times bring down a fully grown buffalo. in general, lions will always need a hand of, for example, a male to bring down some big prey. But the sausages on their own will bring down a buffalo just like that. Well, the area they are in, Ali, they protect that area so much. The territory they live in, they do not allow any other lions there, and especially the females. So those females are pretty special. And then there's one particular lioness in that pride that we call the kingtail, and she got a bent tail. She is very experienced, and the way she leads that pride is just magnificent. So that's why, like every few days, I'll always go to that area to find out how they're doing. Good news, we have 2 of the 5 females there that are expecting to bring us some new cubs. Kingtail is one of them, and another female. So we'll be finding out when they'll bring the cubs. Kingtail we're looking at next year, but the other female had wrong prediction a month ago and had thought by now we should be having new cubs. Nothing as yet, but she looks very big. All right. I might have seen some jackals somewhere behind me. Let me just back up a little bit. I think I've seen some 2 jackals. Not sure what they're doing. Well, Joy, as we try to get our jackals to the left, I do not know. Joy, we had this debate a few days ago with my friends or with my colleagues here, because we all think these cubs were sired by the 2 males that have taken over the coalition. But Joy, if Kipuli will come back, because to me, I think Kipuli still have the potential to take over that pride and that territory. Chances are he may kill those cubs. Well, we're just crossing fingers. And we are wondering if, because we saw one female, one called Limpy, that has 1 cub at the moment. We saw her mating with Kipuli at one point, and then we also saw her mating with these 2 new males. And we got confused who actually could be the father of these cubs. Now, the 2 pike cubs, or the 2 pike rather males in this pride have not bothered to attack or even harass these cubs. So we think they must, one of them is definitely the father. But Joy, if it's not, and one day Kipuli comes back, we don't know when he may come back. Believe you me, chances are he might want to kill those cubs. But if he comes back when they're too big, then they're going to make it. Those are the dynamics of the lions out here in the wilderness, because every male will want to keep its progeny going. It was nice entertainment with the jackals there. I'm not sure what they were eating. They always scavenge together with the hyenas, but also jackals will hunt for themselves. And those are called the blackbacks or the silverback jackals. Very monogamous, in general, going in 2s. Always exciting when you see jackals with your pups. Very funny, I'm getting a few drops of rain, but nothing big or nothing to worry me. And it's about going to 7 o'clock, and we haven't seen any sign of sunrise, and I'm sure it's already up. Just because of the cloud cover, I don't think today is a day for us to see the sunrise. And I'm very grateful. Sydney did a good job. Very good, very good. I need now to speed up, get to my destination, and I have always known Steve loves botany.
Caught me snacking. Just decided to stop at one of my favorite trees. Now that is the green season. The buffalo thorn is getting very nice moisture from the ground, the nutrients, and very, very tasty indeed. It is a supplement for spinach, so being a vegetarian, it's important to keep your strength up, and I feel like Popeye now, eating as we go. If you've never seen this plant before, it's quite easy to identify. The leaves, you can see, are very shiny, very, very shiny, aren't they? and it's got this very characteristic thorn pattern. You see the one thorn is hooked going backwards, and the other one is straight going forward. And there's a lot of cultural history, religious history behind this tree. It dates back to the time of Jesus, also to many sort of cultural areas within Africa. And the Zulus believe it to be a very sort of religious plant, the more traditional plant, in the fact that the forward-facing horn is about looking forward to the future, and the backward thorn is about remembering your past and your ancestors, which is quite relevant, in fact, if we think about our history. Those of you who have read the Bible or remember that very famous man by the name of Jesus, when he was crucified with a crown of thorns, and it was related to this. This is called Ziziphus mucronata, and they took a branch from a tree called Ziziphus spinocristo, which is a very similar plant to the buffalo thorn, and they had that wrapped around his head. And if you ever get the opportunity to have a look at some artist depictions and some very old art, you will see that the crown of thorns around his head has got thorns that are facing forward and some that are hooked onto the top. So no doubt, over 2,000 years ago, the followers of Jesus would have gone all over Africa, all over parts of the world, probably with branches of this tree as well. And we wonder, did they bring that as a traditional belief to a lot of the communities in Africa? Or was it something that traditional communities had beforehand? It's very hard to say, but what we do know is many cultures in Africa use this for ceremonial purposes, for burial purposes. It's a very good plant to lie on the grave of a dead one to prevent hyenas from digging in, because it's very hard to get into, because it's very, very thorny, and once you are in, it gets very, very tough. So lots of traditional beliefs, lots of thoughts, very, very tasty as well. Keeps us strong and fit. On we go. What time of dressing? Well, Child of the Universe, it's actually quite nice just on its own. And now this time of year, because there's not that much pressure on the trees, all the trees are leafing, all of them are kind of getting their nutrients. The leaves are quite soft and they're quite tasty. Later on in the year, this is going to be really, really inundated with tannin. And if I actually sat here for about 5 minutes now after attacking the tree and hit it some more and then fed on the leaves, they'd be a little bit more tannin rich. But right now, delicious. It's almost got a sweet taste. Child of the Universe, you want to know what vegetarian proteins there are out here? Well, marula nuts would be a good one. The seeds inside the marula. And other than that, I'm still trying to find out. Unfortunately, I still have to import all the protein that I need. But there must be protein. I mean, plants themselves are full of protein. Full of protein. We just don't really have the necessary gut enzymes to break them down, which is the problem. Working on it. I think our appendix was once something quite useful in that regard, but we've kind of abandoned it. I've still got mine there, but I don't think it does anything other than just sit there floating within my tummy. Okay, well, Herbie's down here. Carol, well, I do nibble on grass every now and again, but I much prefer eating the leaves. Spinach, very good. So we're just going to have a little look off this termite mound. We know that Hosana likes to move around termite mounds, and we've got a very strong feeling that he's somewhere down here in the drainage. We're between the two pans. Gallagher pan is over there. Fuetella pan is off to the left here. And we're just listening. We haven't had any more alarm calls. Hosana doesn't eat spinach, he eats meat. So generally the animals shout at him. The buffalo thorns don't make any noise. Silent defense. Having a little listen. Really nice and peaceful to be down here in the drainage. You can hear a black-headed oriole. Orange-breasted bushshrike. And the long rasping chirr of the crested barbet. And there is a snake eagle in the far tree there, Davy. Very far away. I wonder if you can make it out. He's got a very round head, a very upright standing back. Looks to be a brown snake eagle. Very characteristic sort of body posture that they have. I wish I could stand up that straight. Patrick's actually got very good posture. He sits and drives very, very well. I think most of us really struggle with that in our day-to-day life. We all seem to sort of crouch our backs like this. I wish I could just somehow keep myself like that all the time. Darby, you got pretty good posture. Yeah, you try. It's all his core strength. Yeah, Darby's got a lot of core strength. Okay, so we're going to go down this 2 mile now. We're going to go back into the drainage here, see if we can find any tracks. We still haven't found any tracks, but anyway, Sydney was heading up towards the north, towards Buffelshoek Dam, following up on some lion calling. Let's go see if he's had any luck.
I am now heading much more towards Vuyotela, but I'm just going to go towards Mpubu Road because I am following the tracks on lions here where I am. I saw it's quite a lot of them. It looks like the Unkuhuma Pride has been in the area here earlier this morning. So I'm keep following the tracks. They went right into this block. So I'm going to have to come out and check the Mpubu Road area much more towards Aubrey's. We might be lucky somewhere in that area. So the tracks are coming all the way from the Buffelshoek, where we have just picked up some audio earlier this morning. Yeah, Catherine, hopefully is the Unkuhumas. I can see it's quite a lot of tracks, and there's even some male tracks there. Yeah, the lion roar, it does travel much further than the leopard saw. But the thing is, when we hear them this morning, not all of them were roaring. It was just a few, and it was not very loud. So I don't know how the dam cam missed that, because we hear it by that other side of the dam cam. So the dam cam was on this side. It was supposed to pick it up as well. So but the direction of movement is heading towards this side. Let's hope to find them before they go back to the side of Buffelshoek again. Because where I'm going now, the road is going to connect to the Buffelshoek again. I didn't copy the question from the viewer nicely. Gordon, the Unkuhumas, I am not too sure in terms of the number at the moment. As the last time I saw them, it was when they were still together with the Mangeni males. Maybe they're still together, and it must be maybe 7 Unkuhumas. So I have not yet picked up any of the leopard tracks in the area. So I'm just seeing the lion tracks everywhere. Oh yeah, it's the bushwalk team. Morning, morning, morning. A lot of Unkuhuma tracks from the Buffalo School cut line to this side. So and then they got disappeared somewhere in this block. Yeah, heading towards this side.
Lion tracks.
Yeah, all the way from the cut line. And looks like it's in Kuhuma. It's quite a lot.
Did you see anything on this road?
Yeah, they crossed this Gara cut line. So somewhere in this block. And here we checked earlier, but we saw some other few tracks going towards the pen when we started off the Lions.
Okay.
There by that dip before you come out to the pen. So we're going to go check Aubrey's then. Maybe you can try.
Good luck.
Okay, thanks, man. Okay. Now the bushwalk team, they are at the right place as well. As where they are, the area is surrounded by the lion tracks for this morning. Giraffe Girl, yeah, is indeed worried about not seeing these cats for a couple of days. So maybe they will be lucky there because the bushwalk, they can see the tracks better than us from the vehicle. So now let's cross over to the Masai Mara where David is looking for some trees.
Well, I've gotten to the Sausage Republic and haven't gotten the sausages yet, but I've gotten the tree, and maybe most of you might be wondering why these particular lions are called the sausages. Now, we have followed them for a very long time, and we have always seen them when it's either very hot or when they get very irritated by flies on the ground in the grass. They tend to climb trees to run away from the flies or just to cool themselves up. This one particular tree that you see here is one of the trees they love going up to, and this particular tree is called the sausage tree. We want to show you again the fruit. If we show you the fruit again, back to the tree or the fruit takes the shape of a sausage. You see that? And I think that's why the botanist named this tree the sausage tree, because those fruit take the shape of the sausages. Not very popular with many animals because the fruit is not very nutritious, but the fruit have lots of fiber and it's very good for digestion. Very many animals you have seen eating them. I'm talking about elephants and giraffes. They just bring them down, but I think the only thing they get from the fruit is fiber, which is or helps them for digestion. But locally, for the people like me and all the local people in the villages we come from, we have always harvested the fruit once ripe to make some local wine. I lost you there, Em. So we wait for the fruit until it ripens. A very good question, and you want to know whether the fruits are squishy or hard. And I would say they're half. They're mid-hard and mid-soft. They're not very hard, neither are they very soft. So what we do, sometimes when we were small little boys, we would get the fruit, remove the husk, and the inner part of it is very spongy. And as boys, we would go to the rivers, and we would use them to just scrub our bodies because the outer part is not very hard. But the inner side, it's a bit rough. So I was saying earlier, April, we also use them to brew or to make some local wine. And we get some amount of water and we put it near fire just to warm it up. And as soon as it gets a bit of warmth, we'll put some sugar inside and then wait a day or two, and then we'll put a few, say, kilos of honey. We would just weigh the honey using our hands, put a few kilos of honey inside, and then the fourth day we'll put the fruit, the sausage fruit inside, just to make it ferment. And the wine that could come out was just fantastic and great. Well, we don't eat the fruit apart from using it for making wine. I don't think it's of any vitamins or nutrients to take from. Gary, what do they taste like? I would say they're very flat. I mean, I'm sure you've tried cucumber. They taste like cucumber. If I would may say, if you've tried cucumber, they taste like cucumber. And I remember in school, I had a teacher who could not say cucumber, and he used to say chuchamba. And we kept laughing. And many times when the teacher would come in class, he could not tell us the name. He'd just write cucumber, and he'd say, that's the vegetable I'm talking about. I would say they taste like cucumber. Well, this is the sausage territory, and now I just have to keep looking. It's still a bit cold, it's still a bit chilly. This is sausage. Let me see, because the tree itself, we say it, and the sausage will be trying to look language, because I would say sausage is a bit alien to Africa. Sausages, we have not grown eating sausages. We started eating sausages when... All right, so we'll just call it meaty for now, and we'll just have to stop here because I've become a bit static. My signal is becoming a bit poor. We always get haunted by gremlins once in a while. I'm not sure I saw a lion somewhere. I just want to use my far lookers and confirm what I saw, whether it's a male lion or not. But I think I might have seen a lion from a distance. I think it is. I just want to confirm. I only need to go around, and hopefully, yes, I have seen one male lion, and I only need to go around to the other side, and that is one of the Sausage Republic. I'll need about 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and so good, because having seen the males are not very far, and everybody who we started with in the morning, we all cross fingers together, cross toes together, you're going to get the sausages. Part of good news, I've seen one of the males, so I need 10 minutes to do a huge loop to get to where he is, and chances are by getting to where he is, I'll also be able to see the girls. Well, as I do that, because my signals gave me a bit weak, let's go back to South Africa, to Sydney, and then hopefully we'll be back with the good news and better signal.
I am right on top of the lion tracks here, which are just everywhere now on Vuyotela Access, heading that side. So we are right at the right tracks here. So we might be lucky this morning with these lions. I just want to show you the tracks here. They are very nice and clear. So you can see the tracks, they are very much nice and clear. It's quite a very big pride. Look at that paw. So we are at the right track at the moment. The chances of seeing this pride is very high. I'm standing by, Sand. Okay, copy that. I am following the tracks on Vuyotela Access. The tracks are going out at the moment. Okay, copy that. Thank you. Yeah, the trucks are heading much more towards that area. Now it's crossing the power line. So I'm just updating the bushwalk team. The trucks are going much more towards this side. Not easy to see the trucks anymore, but we know they are heading towards this direction. No, I don't think the lions will be flat now. The weather is still encouraging for them to go up and down, so we might find them still walking. So I'm just gonna quickly go and check that the southern side. So they're not always on the road here. Tracks are on the road sometimes, deep in the bushes. They're just coming and going from the road. The track is the one which helps the most. The raw problem is sometimes it can be very difficult to estimate or to judge a distance. So the track is much easier. So quite a lot of elephants here right in front of me. Oh, elephants are sleeping. This is something interesting. Look at that. The elephants are sleeping. Just a few of them are just sleeping flat there. About 4 elephants are sleeping flat on the ground at the moment. So a lot of people, they think elephants only sleep while standing. You can see they can lie down. I can see about 4 at the moment lying down. Also at the back, there's more elephants lying down. So this is something very rare. Normally you see them doing this after doing the madwalu. But when it's very early like this, it's rare to see them still sleeping. The elephants, if you find them like in your garden, oh, look, the little one is also sleeping at the moment. So if you find the elephants in your garden, first thing you do is to call the relevant conservation-related authorities to come and treat that elephant. So you don't have to chase that elephant, as they can be very dangerous. This is beautiful. You can see they are not feeding at all. So it's time for them to relax. And it's quite a big head. Very much stationary, not making noise at all. You can see one of them who's standing there at the moment. They are so peaceful. Elephants, they are indeed very peaceful animals. Only when they have got new babies and when they've got injuries, sometimes males when they are on mast is when they can be very dangerous. But normally they are peaceful animals. So now let's cross over to the bushwalk, who is having the tortoise at the moment.
The leopard, fortunately, it is a leopard tortoise. And what's very interesting about this situation is we have got a leopard tortoise that is sneaking up on a little specs-hinged tortoise. Well, it's quite interesting. I don't know exactly why they're following each other around. Maybe there's some interspecies activity going on here. Oh, it moved. They're little bulldozers, tortoises. They'll move into a little thicket like that and actually physically be able to push their way through. And looking for the juiciest of grasses. They're very happy this time of year. All these nice grasses that are coming through. Be able to supplement their water. Because unlike all the other animals that are quite mobile, they're able to walk long distances to water. Tortoises, well, just in their nature, are very slow moving, and so they're not going to get too far every single day. They've actually got a very specialized sort of sac inside, almost like a bladder, called the bursa sac, which is one of the reasons we don't ever pick up tortoises, due to the fact that they often will void that sack onto whatever it is that's tried to pick them up in an effort to maybe try to scare them away. Because when you suddenly get urinated on by something, you quite often get a bit of a fright and let it go. But that means that this poor guy might lose the water content for the day and could potentially strand them, and they could dehydrate. Very, very important in the dry season. The wet season, there's more moisture around, but still, from an ethical point of view, do we need to pick tortoises up? I know to pick them up and to feel underneath the belly area enables us to identify male or female, but is it that important really to identify whether it's a male or female? Are we disturbing the animal by picking them up? Most certainly. So it's something to bear in mind. It's very pretty though, nice and camouflaged. Nice to see the comparison in the shell. The leopard tortoise, very, very dome-like shape. MDR, it is very cool to see them together. You see the leopard tortoise is very dome shape, whereas the specs is much sort of flatter on top. Some people could possibly confuse the two, but quite easy to see the difference now in the shape. There's even some color differences. You can clearly see the spots on the back of the leopard tortoise on the scoots over here. As on specs, there are no spots. The back is actually quite solid in comparison. They're having a little bit of a tortoise day out here. They're enjoying the cool morning. The clouds are pulling in. It's a beautiful day to be on bushwalk, in fact. Anna-Marie, you can tell the age of a tortoise by if you look at the scoots here. This entire piece over here is called a scoot, and essentially there's little ridges that if you had to count the ridges up and down would be a season. So that's season meaning a year. So the and down are in the season, almost like the rings of a tree. So by counting these scoots here, you can almost do it with your fingernail. You work out the age. So just count the down ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's actually easy to age because they grow based in the dry season, almost like the rings of a tree.
The elephants just decided to wake up and go towards the direction of the east, as if they have forgotten they were supposed to leave to somewhere. So now I am heading much more towards the southern side where the lion tracks are heading. I just want to check this area very quickly. So these lions are walking, they are walking very fast. So just some wildebeest tracks on the road as well. They just have to be very careful. So I don't think now is the right time for these lions to relax. So the weather is still very nice and chilly a little bit. Sarah, the Ellis, they stay as a head, and that head is controlled by one matriarch which gives orders. So if the matriarch says it's time to go, oh, lions, yes, we got them. Hey, we got the lions now. Hey, look at them there. They're heading towards that. We got them. Hey, what is the name of Linda? Ah, we got these lions after a very long search. It's the Nkuhumas. Yeah, this is going to be a lovely sighting. Here they are. It's just that they're just not very far away from crossing to the boundary. I think I must just quickly go in front, otherwise they're gonna cross to the private property. And let me try by all means to get, at least they are settling a little bit here, some of them. We can have a quick sighting before I rush to the border. They are very close to the border. Good morning, all stations. Sydney, I've got the Nkuhuma just about to cross the Triple M. So you can see that the Mangeni male is now recovering, or they are both recovering from mange. So I am going to quickly rush now to the border. As I can see, the first one is about to get to the road. Thank you very much for such a lovely comment. They are all now here. You can see the first two are just about to cross. So we just got here by the nick of time. And they are looking very hungry. So I can see that one with the injury, that the injury is not big anymore. So I'm sure they will be in a mission anytime soon, because when looking at the bellies, I can see that the bellies are empty at the moment. Look at that, and the whiskers. So now is going to be a time for them to rest. Yes, we've got the 2 Mangeni males. The last Mangeni male is the one now we are watching. You can see there that he still has got a little bit of markings from mange. And I think the condition is not bad anymore. Yeah, they are very much skinny at the moment. So you can see that one of them is just lying down there. There's still more to come. A few of them are still at the back, slowly moving towards this direction. So I haven't seen the Unkuhumas for quite a long time. This is an interesting sighting. At least today we're lucky with one of these cats. Yeah, indeed, the Mangeri males with this mange, they don't look nicely. So I'm just gonna free a wheel here so that we can have a nice sighting on these 2 who are just lying down here. You can see that the third one is coming to approach them just now. So the size of this pride, I think, is advantageous for them to take something very big. But competition must be very high when they've got something to eat. Oh, this one is limping. Oh, so they're all very hungry. None of them has got the bellies full. This is an amazing sighting. I didn't count the number of individuals from this. Look at that. You can see behind the ears there's some blood markings there. So that must be from the ticks. So the ears, they've got high tick carrying capacity. Oh, there's still another one coming. I am sure where they're going to sleep, they're going to be very much camouflaged, because the bush is very green where they are going now. I can't even see far from where I am at the moment. So they are now going to rest. I can see they are now starting to lie down somewhere there. Maybe they're going to be there for the whole day, or they might be here just for this morning. Under one of the marula trees there, I can see they're starting to lie down, which is quite a very long distance from here where I am. Oh, there's a male coming here at the back. Look at that. I've got more coming. Quite a very beautiful young male there at the back, escorting the whole pride. So I can see the mane there is coming out. So maybe one of you can tell me how many you have counted so far. But it has been a lot, it's just that I didn't count because of excitement. So they are now even moving from that marula tree deep in. This has been a lovely sighting after a very long period of trekking all the way from the Buffer's Hook cut line to here. It's quite a very long distance. They traveled a long distance this morning, so they must be very tired. But when they wake up, they will be energetic to chase a prey. I didn't pick up any distinctive smell, but sometimes, yes, cats, sometimes they don't smell nice. They also eat carrions, rotten meat. When they pass by, sometimes you can pick up those kind of very bad smell. And because of the wounds as well, and some of the disease, you can pick up a very strong smell on these animals. But today, I didn't pick up anything, and they look very much clean. They are hungry, but looking very clean. So those two are leading us to the end of the lion sighting this morning. So now let's cross over to the bush walk. They have got some interesting insects. Apologies for the inconveniences due to some poor network signals. We are still here, just watching the lions disappearing. But now I'm going to carry on and see if we can investigate any of the spotted cats. I'm going to carry on looking for the leopard now. So I'm just going to start from the tree house dam area, twins dam area is where I'm going to concentrate on leopards this morning. As that other side of Mvubu Road, Buffalo's Hook cut line, I did not pick up any leopard track. It was all lion tracks. So let me concentrate much more this side. Yeah, it might be difficult for us to see those lions this afternoon because their stomach look very much hungry, and if they catch something there, they might remain in there for quite a while. So now let's cross over to the Masai Mara, where David is having the Mara lions.
Very well done, Sydney, having gotten the lions this morning. We were wondering either you folks down there in South Africa or me here in Kenya, one of us should have gotten lions, but now you have done very well, and also me too, because initially I saw this one male from the other side of the laga, and they had to do a loop of 10-15 minutes to get where I am. But at the same time as I was doing that, it started to spit. We started to get some showers, we started to get some rains, and that's why you notice the flaps are down at the moment, and we don't want our equipment getting rained on. But now this male here is one of the males, or the ones that overthrew the coalition of Kipuli. Kipuli has been a dominant male in this area with two youngsters, but this male and I think another male who I would guess, I'm not 100% sure, is a brother. We call them the Old Donyo Pike males. They overthrew the Kipuli, we guess, or we believe, because they have been hanging around with the Sausage Pride females for the last couple of, I would say, months, and we haven't seen any bad blood between them and the cubs. So myself and my other colleagues are convinced this male particular one here or the other one could have sired these cubs. If definitely the one of the fathers, chances are they would have tried to kill them. Now, talking on my flaps down, you can see also the flaps of this particular male lion are also down. Look on his mane, and I hope Joy from Hong Kong is still watching. Paula, you haven't maybe gone to bed, and you can see that it's not very amused by the rain, and he has curled himself in that particular condition just because it's too cold and it's spitting. More raining than spitting now, I would say. Remember, our drive is very interactive. Should you have any comments or any questions, please send them through #SafariLive on Twitter. They normally give us lots of joy. So not sure where the other male is, but trying to guess. A coalition will have the males not far from this area. All that beautiful savanna that you see in the background, he could be anywhere there. The girls and their cubs could be anywhere, but definitely to me, not in the open because it's raining. Chances are they could be under some tree or in a small little valley. Romet, good question, and you're asking where Kipuli and the boys might have moved. Romet, we have no idea. The last very big action I saw of Kipuli could have been 2 or 3 months ago, and there were 2 nomadic male lions that came to invade the Kipuli territory. And what they did, there's another pride of lions, Romet, I'm sure you know very well, that is called the Owino pride, that has 4 females and 1 male, and the lead female in that particular pride, called the Owino, that's called Butternut, was mating with a nomadic male lion, and Kipuli watched him for some time, did not bother with him, and he continued mating. But at the same time, these 2 nomadic males, the nomadic males were 2, and one of them had half a tail, and in the morning what Kipuli did, sorted that one first very quickly, fought him, and he took off. He chased him for about 3 miles, disappeared, and then Kipuli came back to the other nomadic lion that was mating with Butternut, and Kipuli stuck there about 100 meters away for quite some time, and come in the after about 4 or 5 o'clock, Kipuli went head on to the other male, and there was a big fight, and the guy was bitten. Kipuli unfortunately got a scar on the eye, but this other male was sorted out. That, to me, is the last I know of Kipuli. I haven't seen him, I haven't heard of him. I don't want to believe he is somewhere, but these 2 boys, and this particular one you see here, Romet, have taken over this territory. The question is, for how long? Time will tell. I think Kipuli is just trying to re-energize himself. Jonathan, good question. The largest coalition male that we have in the Mara, I would say, is called the Scarface, or the Four Musketeers. Scarface is one huge male who apparently we also haven't seen Jonathan for quite some time. And Scarface, because he got a huge scar on the face, and that's how he was named. And he got 3 brothers. I could be wrong, but I think that could be the largest. So it's Scarface, and with his 3 brothers, and that makes 4. That's pretty large coalition of males that I know in the Mara. Now, we got a new coalition coming up, and I'm sure, Jonathan, you have been following us, and you have had, or you know, the Olololo Pride, and Olololo, there are 7 youngsters there, and it's just a matter of time, because come next year, if the 7 males think they are like 2.5, 3 years, and they're big enough, and they're out of that pride, and they form a coalition, I think then that might be the largest coalition I know in the Mara. But at the moment, I think Scarface with his 3 brothers is the biggest and maybe the strongest coalition that we got in the Mara. They have been known to go, you know, hunting for themselves without, you know, the females. And I'm talking about big prey. Well, these 2 boys, I want to respect them, that we call the Ondonyo Pike, as he keeps flicking his ear there. And I'm guessing he's getting a few drops of water or rain into his ear, and the ear being pretty sensitive, like, shake this water out. I don't want any water in my eardrums. So being 2 and having sorted or having overthrown or taken over this state from Kipuli, I think they have done very well, because Kipuli, to me, by any standard, he is a big lion and very strong. This happens. Sometimes it's not always about size. Sometimes it's a bit, you know, a bit of skill, maybe to fight. To me, they look smallish in body size compared to Kipuli and the other 2 youngsters. He is definitely not enjoying the rain, you can tell. And my only hope, if the rain is going to subside, he is going to walk and move around. Well, I'm happy you can enjoy, you know, watching the rain, but you can tell this male here is not very happy with the rain. It's typical for lions, but if it was not raining, I would guess he would be lying flat in a different angle. But now he's just trying, to me, maintain his body temperature. But to me, he still looks pretty beautiful with all the black mane there. That reminds me of scrub hairs when you see scrub hairs at night. And it's not the best thing for cats to get such a big rain, because we had rain yesterday. I'm not sure whether he was rained on, and maybe before he dried up, he's getting more rain. Well, such a big male lion, but I think Steve wants to show us a small little insect somewhere.
Yes, well, thanks, David. We do know that dung beetles enjoy the rain. Lions, most of the time, just lie there and look very miserable. But this individual dung beetle is working very hard in a pile of impala dung, and he's breaking it all up using very powerful feet to attach 1, 2, 3, and another dung ball of the impala. Here is the impala ball itself. It's still very, very wet. You see, I can easily move it with my fingers, and so this is what he is doing. He's breaking it up to make it into a nice pile and adding it to a nice ball. Carol, dung beetles use a variety of animals' dung. Obviously depends on the time of year, but I've never seen them using predators' scat. Invariably they are after herbivore dung. I might be mistaken, and they might do it from time to time, but often you see them very commonly in rhino and elephant dung, and the purpose of that is obviously those piles are really, really big, so they're a big attraction for dung beetles. But I've found them with wildebeest, I found them with, now we're looking at clearly impala dung, I found them with giraffe dung as well. So when it's obviously fresh, it's easy to mold and to shape into the ball that they want. And the strategy is exactly the same as that of larger dung. And it's just here they have to attach the balls like balls of clay, making it a much bigger ball. And most of the time it is for food. Obviously they do also use it for breeding. Now, this individual, a very similar species to the one I saw yesterday, with what I assumed to be elephant dung at the time, but it's possible it might have been a small antelope, and it had just basically accumulated them into a very large ball. Look how well it works there. Very powerful back legs holding it onto the ball, and the front legs, which have got very nice comb-like sort of appendages here on the side, are just sort of pushing it together, almost like a carbon, a combine harvester, just collecting all the material and throwing it into the cage behind. He's making a very, very good job here of this ball, and once it's the right sort of size, it's going to move it off and bury it somewhere. Laura, you think they've got very big brains? I suppose they possibly have a whole lot of things going on inside. It's a very touchy topic to talk about intelligence in animals and in insects. Insects aren't renowned for being, for having a brain or some form of huge thinking outlook. They're all sort of very instinctive, and everything that they do has got a lot to do with pheromones, a lot to do with chemicals in the environment. But it is a topic that we try and steer clear of. But they know what they need to do. They know they need to accumulate the dung, firstly for food, and secondly for breeding, and doing a very, very good job of it, creating a ball perfectly in size for the size of dung beetle that will hatch out of it. So we could probably sit here for another 5-10 minutes as it constantly grows. Carol, they are indeed. They're regarded as about 7,000 species of dung beetle in the world. And I mean, in South Africa, we can get up to 650 odd, somewhere around there. And you can find many of those in one pile at the same time. Different types. They are the types now. This is called a telecoprid. This guy is going to make a ball and then roll it away. And you get the paracoprids, which basically will make a ball and bury it down underneath the dung pile itself. And then you'll also get what we call endocoprids that live inside the dung, inside middens. And then, of course, the last one being the kleptocoprid, which, well, they wait for this individual to do all the hard work, and then they come along and steal it. Very, very cheeky. Now, those 4 classifications, but there are multitudes of species, and some of them are very, very small. You can't even see. But it's this time of year which we see so many of the big dung beetles around. They've been underground inside dung balls themselves from last season, and they waited for the rain, which has arrived and has wet the ground, and has also caused the larvae to pupate with inside the ball, and they've come out as a fully fledged dung beetle ready to do exactly what is going on right now. And Emery, they are. Arthropods, which are insects, basically mean enclosed in an outer armor casing. That's pretty much one of the classifications of being an arthropod, having an exoskeleton. We've got an endoskeleton, which is inside. So they've got that exoskeleton, and everything inside is pretty much regarded as kind of like a hemolymph. Hemo meaning like a blood, a lymph, so a lymphatic system kind of combined together, and all their food and all the processes that happen inside are basically just in a big sort of liquid suspension within inside their body. They don't have the same sort of network we have, but the protection on the outside to protect them against obviously predation, and sometimes even depending on the color, it's designed to absorb the sunlight to increase their mobility. A lot of insects are black because it absorbs light and gets them active much earlier in the day. So here we go. He's starting to do some movement. But I think he's still busy. The ball, I think, has still got some work to do, but look how quickly he is maneuvering that. He's probably having little nibbles as he goes along, keep his energy up. And it's so interesting because what is happening here is the process of nutrient cycling. We've got what was clearly an impala that is fed upon leaves and grasses, and then deposited its dung in a very old midden here. And the dung beetle has decided, well, let me turn that into a food ball, maybe even a brood ball, which then will be buried in the soil, and the organic material then secured in the soil for breakdown by bacteria and microorganisms. Very nice to see this happening, and very special to spend time with dung beetles in the motion. You see the flies are competing with his ball as well. But anyway, the rain is falling in the Mara, and David is with a big male lion. I wonder if he's going to get up and do something in the moisture.
Very good, Steve. And apparently, I could be mistaken here, but once in a while, I have seen lions digging beetles, dung beetles from the ground and eating them. Carnivores will always eat anything that's meaty, including beetles. Now, this is the other male of the Ondonyo pike, males or coalition. He looks a bit lighter than the other one, but he doesn't feel being hit so much or being hammered so much by the rain, unlike the first one that we saw. To me, he is more blondie than the one we saw before, but they're only about 20-30 meters apart, which tells me the females are not very far from here. But where they are, I need to do a bit of driving and going through the bushes and the lager to see where they can get them. And also it shows, his face, he's not being hit by the rain than the other male, because he got his head up, as much as he also looks very sleepy. Not sure the night wasn't very good for him, but you can see he's just fizzling out, almost falling apart, and trying to keep his head up. These two, I have noticed their behavior. He is not very friendly, this particular one. The other one, sometimes he'll come very close to the vehicle, will just flop and sleep. But this particular one is always a bit, not nervous, but not as, you see, he keeps looking, he keeps waking up. And any slight sound, he'll want to find out what it is. Of course, it's natural. You cannot get two lions or like two people who are the same. I'm not sure what direction he is looking at and what could be looking at. What he needs to tell me is where the girls are, because I got a feeling either the girls are shielding the cubs from the rain. Sleepy, do not go flat. But because of the big rain, the lions, he cannot put or he cannot lie on the side, as the norm is for lions in general. Janelle, he is not alone, and you want to know why is he alone? He is not alone. He got a brother who is 20-30 meters from where we are. And Janelle, I also want to believe the Sausage of Pride. And if you're joining us for the first time, these two males, we call them Ondonyo Pike Coalition. And coalition, I'm talking about males will always be together on their own. And when you talk of lion prides, people have always thought females, calves, males. No. Prides are always females alone, with some sub-adults of either both boys or girls or males and females. Now, he got a brother, Janelle, who is 20-30 meters away from here, so he is not alone. And the trees you see in the background there, Janelle, that's where I think the pride is. That's where the females could be. And because we still have rain, still raining here, the females know they don't want to expose their cubs to cold air. They don't want to expose them to rain, because we have known they have always gotten sick. They could pick a cold or some kind of flu or pneumonia. Sometimes they have been known to catch pneumonia. So the whole idea is for the females to keep them in. But also we have seen them, even when it's raining, the cubs out in the rain and jumping around. So I think today it depends on the instructions they have been given by their mothers, or maybe we're not in the right place. Lions, sometimes you'll get the males baying like a kilometer, 2 or 3 away from the pride. And look at that beautiful man. Comparing these two males, this one that's a bit blondie to me has the most beautiful man. The other one is still like not dead asleep, but sleepy. This particular one, I'm not sure, he got a small little scar on the right eye there. Did you close your eyes for me to see better? Yes. Or is it something? No, I think it's both eyes. And maybe it's some kind of genetic thing that he got on the eyes there, and that's like makes it like some eyeshadow maybe he got somewhere in a salon, and makes it look very beautiful with sleepy eyes there and the whiskers. I don't know whether myself would be able to sleep in the open in the rain, but this male doesn't seem very bothered, not even the brother. Yes, and I think M says he got some Hana. I think that's possible. They have done it on the ice, and that has make him look pretty beautiful. Now, what you need to do, I need to find out where those females are, because I can't see them. But I got a feeling that they could be hiding the cubs in that particular lager, just to make sure they don't get sick. Because just looking at this one particular male, he's not showing us any idea where the females could be. What normally happens when the males need to be in touch with the females, they keep looking in a particular direction, and that will always help us to locate the females. Sleepy lion, nothing out of the ordinary. Lion sleeping, it's very normal. 18-20 hours sometimes in a day. Only that Joshua, who are the biggest lions in the Mara, do I think? My guess is Joshua. Let me see. Scarface as an individual, he is big. But now, very close to where we are in the camp, there are males that we call the Kichwa males. And to me, the Kichwa males are three. There's one that we call Fang, there's another one that we call Half-Tail, and the third one, to me, I would say, Joshua, those are the largest males in terms of, excuse me, in terms of size. They look like young calves of cows. So I would say the Kichwa males, and I'm sure you have always been following us, Joshua. I would say the Kichwa males to me are the largest in size. But on one-to-one, as an individual, I think Scarface, still to me, is the largest in size. But looking at the coalition, I would want to believe the, Kichwa males would take the day for me. These guys here, the Oldonyo Pike, the two males, averagely sized and slightly bit smaller to me than Kipuli. And the other day we had a debate whether Kipuli could have been the father or these males could have been the father of Kipuli, either one of them. And then I was like, Kipuli to me looks slightly bit old unless they started to sire when they were very, very young. I mean, at 2.5 or 3, I can't imagine. But maybe I highly doubt, because we were debating, is Kipuli the father of the 3 cubs in his pride, or is any of these 2 males here? But they have been tugging along with them for a couple of months now. We have seen them play with those cubs. They've been visiting together, and we haven't seen any aggression or any bad blood between these males and the cubs, which would translate to them being the fathers. Because if not, they would have tried either to kill them and have the females back in estrus to have their own genes. That's exactly what lions do. And Em, I'm sure, is enjoying those beautiful golden eyes of this particular male. Please open your eyes. We want to have one more look with your henna on top of your eyes. I'm not sure that he cleaned his face this morning, but I think the rain is good enough to clean the face. The whiskers look pretty clean. What I've seen that have changed of late is the way the elephants. The elephants at the moment look very dark because of how the rains have been going on. But lions, because they will not mud wallow, they will not get themselves dirty in the mud. They will remain the same. You see, looking at the mane of this one is a bit blondie compared to the very first one that we saw. Not as dark, but ideally or averagely they have the same size of men. I would guess they are 2 brothers and maybe of the same litter. Oh no, you need to keep your head high as much as you're getting very snoozy there. You can see the beautiful grass. After the rains have come, everything has just changed and everything just lush at the moment. Yes, M says he is struggling to keep his head high. I said between these 2 brothers here, this particular one is always very sensitive. And every time maybe he hears my voice, he'll always look. Like when you're trying to open that small little window for us to shoot him, to get the camera on his face, you'll see him like opening his eyes. Like, you guys, what do you have to see how he's looking? Any slight sound, anything that he doesn't like, he turns very quickly and looks. But now he needs to give us an idea where the girls are. You can see the raindrops on his mane. How beautiful is that? How cute to see the drops just drilling down his mane. This is quite amazing. So he's looking in a particular direction now, and either he could be seeing the females or he could be seeing some prey or anything else that could be of interest. Rosemary, I agree with you. If you snooze, you lose. So basically, he knows not to snooze. He doesn't want to lose anything. He needs to keep an eye on his girls. He needs to keep an eye on his cubs, yes. Otherwise, a small mistake, would cost him and the girls a lot. The other day, this would be like 2 weeks ago, I came here, and there's another lager, a lager very close to where this male is, and there's a leopard, a female leopard that lives there. And the leopardess was very close to the cubs. I saw the 3 cubs, and the mothers were a long way. And chances were that leopardess was trying to sneak on those cubs. But unfortunately, not sure I spoiled everything once I got there. The leopardess took off. I hadn't seen it though. So it's very true. You snooze, you lose. So you have to keep an eye of your territory. Make sure Kipuli doesn't get you by surprise, because I think where Kipuli is, he's sharpening his claws and teeth, and maybe it could be long before he comes back to retake his territory. Who knows? Hello, young man. You did very well, because Kipuli is a big male. So that lager there, I missed that question from Mary James, but in that lager there, that's where I'm guessing the females could be, and I'm sure at one point they're going to be going there. Hello. Mary Jane, sorry, I had missed your question, but you're asking whether lions are semi-waterproof. I would say yes, they're semi-waterproof, because if they were not, definitely he would have gone to look for some shelter somewhere. So I would say they're semi-waterproof, and ideally, I think as the water hits their bodies, it just tends to slide. And what this one lion will do, and all the cats will do, once they're rained off, they'll always stand and they shake their bodies and shake all the water out of their bodies. And that's when the rains will stop. But as yet, it is still raining, so he might have to wait until the rains stop. What do you say? You need to give us a clue. Tell us whether you are semi-waterproof, which I believe you are. And if need be, you might start sneezing if the water has hit you or the rain has hammered you so much. But I think you have survived all that. What could you be thinking? So 2-3 occasions he has looked in that direction. So I got a feeling that the moment I'm going to leave him, I might be looking at for what he is. Very, very good. Lovely. At least I've gotten 2 of the males of the sausages. I haven't got actually the females, which are always my highlight. But I'll keep trying. But in the meantime, we'll take you back to South Africa, to Sydney.
I have just arrived by the Twins Dam, where I am trying my luck for the spotted cats, the leopard specifically. But here it looks like there is nothing at the moment, not even a single in Egyptian goo is around here. So I'm going to be driving in the middle of the dry riverbed, the drainage line, and see if we cannot find any of the tracks there. Maybe we might be lucky in that area. I have seen fresh tracks of a leopard trespassing towards one of the privates, and I think that is maybe one of the 2, Osana or Tingana. So those tracks, they looked very fresh. It was the tracks for early this morning. I am not too sure if the leopards in Africa are all of the same species. Yeah, here by the drainage line is nice and cool. Maybe that is why these cats like it here. So now let's cross over to the bushwalk.
I've heard noises in the thickets, and we've followed up and we've found a breeding herd of elephants moving away from us now. We're going to see if we can get around to an area of elevation, area of safety. For now, the wind is perfectly in our favor. The light is not too much to think about the light right now, but they're crossing into the quarantine area. It's nice and open over here. There's a few termite mounds over there. Ideally, we'd like to sort of get onto, but for now, we're just watching them move away. There's definitely a breeding herd. There's a few females, there's some youngsters, And they moved off. I think they are the ones that Sydney might have seen earlier. And they've been highly mobile for quite a period of time. We've caught up with them now, and they're slowly starting to feed and just move again. And it's possible that the Nkuhuma pride actually walked straight past this herd. And, well, elephants don't really like lions. The smell, they smell fetid. I suppose Sydney was trying to pick up the scent of the lions as they walk past. Not easy for us to smell them, but I guarantee you elephants can smell them very far away. They don't like the smell of lions. And when you've got babies, they always get a bit upset. It's probably why elephants that he saw earlier suddenly got up and moved off. Then Sydney found the lions. So we're going to move up through this open area, try and do a big loop around them. There's a few termite mounds, like I said, elevated up there. And we'll get them slowly coming towards us feeding. What do you think, Herbs? Okay, we're going to head through that way. Yeah, come follow us. Everybody's loving seeing them on foot. Well, I can tell you, being here in person is unbelievable. If you've never approached elephant afoot or spent time with them on foot, there's really something very special about it. You forget about everything. It brings you straight into the moment, straight into the present. You can smell it, you can feel it. The humidity is around us. We are here, just us, in this quiet moment, with the largest land mammal in the world, just slowly moving away from us. But we're going to get a little bit further up, and hopefully we might actually get them coming towards us. They're still judging the wind. The wind is still good. They're just keeping to the tree line, just off of quarantine there. Ryan, tusks are difficult to age elephants. It is a genetic thing. Obviously, a lot of elephants were shot out or poached many, many years ago for their ivory, and that was the biggest genetic lineup of tusks in the world. Some elephants have got really big tusks, some just don't develop them at all, so it's really hard to identify through tusks for age. There might be some correlation that could have been done if all the elephants in the world were still where they are without any sort of selective hunting or poaching. For example, Addo Elephant National Park, all the elephants were shot out there for their ivory. So those elephants there, most of them don't have tusks. So it's very difficult to use tusks invariably for age. The tail, though, if you happen to manage to get one of the tail hairs off, they grow seasonally, just like your tortoise shell does. So it's not easy to see in the light, but under a microscope, you can actually count how many years elephant has been alive for. Another technique is if you happen to get inside the mouth and you're able to measure the teeth. It's another good way of measuring it. But when they're alive, very tricky to do unless you dart them for research purposes. With the tooth molds you can get, because the molars that come through an elephant, you get 6 different sets in the life. And so depending on where those molars sit in the mouth, you can actually work out within 2 years the age of an elephant. So 42, 44, something like that. How are we doing, Herbs? I don't know what this is, Darby. There's some interesting fly accumulation going on here. No idea, I've never seen this before. We're still going to approach the elephants, but here we've got a whole lot of flies accumulating at one of the exits of a termite mound here. Possible that eggs were laid inside and now they've all hatched, they're all coming out because there's 2 points of entry. One over there and one over here. Lots and lots of flies coming out after some moisture. This is a time of plenty. I don't know what species of fly it is. It definitely makes the skin crawl. Let's move off before they lay eggs on us, Darby. We wouldn't want that. We're just going to keep going. Hello, Umu. You know about elephant ears? Well, just like ours, the top of our ear here has got a little bit of a curl in it. Elephant ears do get a bit saggy and a bit droopier, but the back of the elephant ear is very, very thin, the membrane. So what you'll often have is that this piece of the ear will just fold back slightly, and it kind of acts as almost like my hat. It just kind of protects the ears, but obviously they can flap and move, still get the same amount of air conditioning, as you will, but they do generally still fold over a little bit on the top. That happens quite early on. I don't think you can age them by the degree of the fold, though. I've never tried. We generally go with size. Size is often a very good sort of characteristic of age, but it's not always exactly how it's done. But we're going to see if we can get a little bit further up, get into better position with these elephants. You'll come right back when we do Sydney's Found a Feathered Friend.
We are now in the middle of the Mulwati, and all we are seeing here in this area is just elephants and elephants. No leopard yet. So the elephants are enjoying themselves here by this dry river beds because of this cool temperature. So now let's quickly go back to the Masai where up on lions.
Well, I've been trying to get the females. I haven't been able to see them. Because it's still raining, I'm sure they're not ready to bring the calves out until the rain either subsides or stops altogether. So they want to keep them under some shelter. As I was saying before, we have seen lions getting some infection, be it cold or flu or sometimes pneumonia. Tuberculosis could be a possibility, but the females know so very well they need to keep the cubs away from the cold. And that reminds me of a third female that had been expecting, and I'm not saying it has gotten the cubs yet. I've been thinking it's due. She hasn't dropped them yet. And should that be the case now, then all the more the reasons for her or for them not to come out. They need to stay together and they need to have some warmth and safety for those calves. These two males, more often than not, you always see them quite a distance from each other, but this time they're very close, which also adds to the weight of maybe this one particular female could have gotten the calves by now. I still see the males from a distance looking the same direction, you know, the one blondie that was looking before, but I've been to that particular area, he's looking and saw nothing. My only hope is very soon we might see a sausage tree pride. Only time will tell when the mother will bring them out, but I think normally anything after 3 or about a week the cubs should be able to see and to be able to move around and start discovering, you know, their new world. So what I'm doing, I'm just driving along the laga where I would guess they would be, because it's normally warm and the laga has a bit of an angle. When it rains in a particular way, the water doesn't get to maybe these lions. So this is the area I would expect them to be hiding or to be sheltering themselves from the rain. Nothing at the moment. So maybe we'll have one more look at the two males. One of them is walking. Sorry, what about Puma? Just going close to one of the males that's walking. Oh, sorry, Puma, what other animals eat the sausage tree? Elephants, giraffes, Puma, and baboons. Those are the 3 animals that I have always known will eat the sausage tree or the sausage fruit. And as I said earlier, I'm not sure it has any nutritional value. What happens is they'll always be eating it for digestion, because the fruit itself has lots of fiber. Now these two males have come together and they're having a little play. I don't know whether that's a good area. We still have to open a very small window for us to be able to see them. And one of them is just walking away. The dark one came so close to the blondie one. And let's find out what he's doing. I can't see now anything from where I am, but he's just there, maybe scent marking. And what happens after the rains, all the sand markings of most cats are washed away and they have to rescent again. And that's exactly what this male is doing. Looking in a particular direction, face up. The girls could be there. Maybe yes, maybe no. That did not help me at anything. Well, it's coming out of the frame. The other one is just laying down there. Sorry, folks, we got a very small window where we are shooting from because we have brought the flaps down. Hello there. Do you want to wake up and follow your brother or not? Because chances are, where they might go, it might lead us to the females. Who knows? What he's doing now, he's watching some ellies that you can see from a distance, which we can't show you because the flaps are down. But at least from my small little windshield, you can see some huge herd of about 20 ellies. And he might wake up before long and follow the brother. Will you? Yes, I think I guessed correct. Or are you changing position? Different angle to bed yourself. That would mean maybe also the brother did not move very far. He might have walked a few yards and also lay down. He's now watching the brother. I can't see the brother from where I am, but definitely he's looking at him. Remember your questions, comments, always very welcome. Hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. They give us lots of joy. Or when you keep engaging us, we're always very happy to keep interacting. You can see how still the wind is from that grass there, just shaking a little bit. But you've got some drops of rain still falling down, but not as heavy as it was before. This is the one male that I've said is very different from the other, always very sensitive in what he sees, what he hears, how he behaves. But of the two, I think he's the good-looking one. Nothing against the other one. I think he got a mane that's more colorful than the other one. Both their manes are a lot shorter than the one for Kipuli. Very good. Tracy, you say you love his coloring. It's true, Tracy. I mean, you could not ask for a better looking lion than this one, and especially in the middle of nowhere, in the savannah, with that beautiful light. Now, we may have to move on, and I want to find out where Tracy, the other male, has gone, whether he has laid down or he has gone towards to the females. I just have to drive very carefully. My vision angle is very tight. Yeah, so I don't also want to drive over him, but I think he has either to the lager or to the and they are not helping, so he's just licking himself with his very rough tongue. Sometimes they use I'm getting haunted a little bit by a gremlin and my signal is not looking very good. But for that reason, let me take you back to South Africa, to Steve.
Thanks, David, all the way from the Sausage Tree Republic. I hope you have luck finding them this morning. Well, we've been following those elephants, but the wind seemed to change on us. And as we've gotten closer and closer, we've completely lost them somewhere there in the thickets and the drainage line. So we're doing a big loop around. It's possible that because the wind changed, our wind slightly wafted towards them. And they would have picked up on that, and as silently as they can move, they just disappeared through that side. Now, I was trying to educate Jackie on a little bit of a steenbok digging, which I thought was a steenbok digging. So I dug inside. The steenbok, they like to scratch. We've moved away from there to keep up with the elephant, but the steenbok will do scratches like this on the ground, and then they bury their dung over there. So I did a little dig inside, thinking I was very smart and showing Jackie, and I came out with a hand full of wildcat scat. Fantastic. Fantastic. I've done it once before in my life, and now I've done it again. So these things, you know, part and parcel of what happens out here. Make sure I wash my digits before breakfast. I'll just keep that hand nice and elevated away from my body. Okay, so Emma said she's going to make coffee for me when I get back. Thanks, Em. You're very, very kind. So we're going to continue on down here. Not sure exactly where these elephants are headed to, but we lost them sort of in the drainage here. This is Philemon's Dip coming down here, very prominent sort of drainage line that goes towards the east there to the Milwaukee. They might come through here. They might go straight over the other side towards Treehouse or Twin Dams. We're not 100% sure, but we're giving them a nice little bit of berth. You can't see elephants. It's ideal to make sure that you get around them. You don't want to suddenly surprise them in the thickets. Nancy, I don't have any wet wipes. I've got some hand sanitizer I left at home, but I need to repack my bag. Anyway, here we've got some interesting things on the floor. I'm not going to touch these either, though. But there's lots of bone shards. There's a hoof. Let me just get a piece of grass. There's a little bit of hoof over here. There's all sorts of bone shards. There's two possible explanations for what this could be. This is either hyena scat or lion vomit. It looks like it's possibly gone through. There's lots of white in there, which means it's possibly hyena scat. It's not very fresh, but they have the unbelievable ability to completely digest bone, but hasn't digested very, very well. Proper shards here. Can you imagine that going through your intestines, coming out the other side, and a hoof as well over there of what looks like an impala. An old sign. It's got a bit of a green tinge to it. There's even a tooth there. No? Is that a tooth? That could just be a bone shard. Well, something definitely was dead and eaten. And, well, this is what's all that remains. A little bit of a calcium deposit on the ground, and the termites have been in here and have been processing everything that was around. So it all goes right back, as again, nutrient cycling, all the way back. Even the heaviest parts of us go back into the ground eventually and used by the plants, which are then eaten once again, and the whole cycle continues. Such marvelous stories in the wilderness. Herbie's just up ahead of us here, so we're just going to keep up with him. We're going to still see if we can get around this drainage line. And can't quite see the elephants moving through there, so it's best that we, as I said, give them a wide berth, listening as we go, because as big as they are, surprisingly very quiet unless they are feeding and crunching on the branches. But we would love some rain to cool everything down and to wash my hands. And, well, I think it's still raining up in the mire. David's trying to keep up with his mail line. Hopefully he gets to see the sausages.
Well, Steve was here the other day, and I'm sure by the time he was leaving, the rain was not as heavy as it is. And if he would have experienced what me and Tristan went through the other day, he'll be surprised how the weather drastically has changed in a span of about 5 days. Well, that happens, and I've been trying to follow the weather pattern in Africa and more so in East Africa, and it has been a bit of bizarre. It has been quite erratic, and you cannot say this is the particular season we have. Normally, or the norm is, in Kenya, we have like summer all around the year, which is broken by 2 rainfall seasons. The long rains that will always come March, April, May, and June, and then the short rains that will come October, November. What we're having now, to me, which should be the short rains, they seem so big and so heavy. And come shortly before Christmas, they should have stopped, but from what I can tell, they are not stopping. The long rains this year, they were massive, they were huge, and we had so many people who suffered a lot in the rain. There are certain areas which were no-go zone. There's places where some guys thought they would go and take the gas, and they would be stuck there for hours. Some roads were washed away, bridges gone, culverts gone, and the park management had a lot of work to redo the infrastructure all over again. Well, hopefully the short rains do not become as big But again, who knows? Well, I have left my male lions and decided to move on, see whether I would be lucky to spot the sausages, the females. But I got some huge hornbills here coming up. Let me see whether we can use our small window to frame them. Still raining, and we're using one small little opening to get anything we can put on screen for you. And he got the southern ground hornbills. Always going in flocks of 2s, 3s, 4, 5s. And I'm sure they're enjoying the rain, because what would happen is the rain having, the water having full, Em says that's pretty lovely, and the water having run over the ground, I'm sure some insects or some beetles have been exposed to the ground, and which could be an advantage to these hornbills. Southern ground hornbills we call them, and the males have much brighter red water on the base of their horns, unlike the females. And they could be feeding on anything they'd get, like the beetles Steve had earlier. The youngsters don't have as bright red. You see that one there, like the adults. These are some hornbills that are facing quite a challenge at the moment because of the logging and loss of habitat and deforestation going on in Africa. For them to nest, they normally prefer very huge trees, hollow trees that have crevices where they can lay their eggs. And in general, they prefer very old trees. They've got very special breeding kind of system. Kathy, you said beautiful birds, correct, and they are beautiful. And of all the hornbills we got in Africa, these are the largest, and the males always looking more colorful than the females. Nothing against the females. And they always prefer very old trees. I was talking of, the numbers are going down, and I think on the IUCN red list, they have been classified as endangered because they have lost a lot of habitat to man. I think we're the most dangerous animals. Well, it must have gotten herself something there to eat. And deforestation, the trees that they prefer to nest have been brought down, and it's a bit of a concern now. I was talking about the breeding kind of structure. You'll get, once they mate and they lay the eggs, there'll be another pair that will help the actual adults to raise the young ones, what we call corporate breeding. And they'll always breed every 3 years or so. And breeding every 3 years, that translates to them having a bit of concern if they lose their habitat. So it's a long time for birds to breed, taking 3 years before they can bring another generation. And if in that 3 years they don't have a place to breed, then it becomes pretty tricky. They've got very strong beaks, and the beaks are like chisels, and they can open an ostrich, not an ostrich, but a tortoise. They'll be known to get tortoises and just breaking through the shell to get the flesh. So either they will be getting some snails at the moment, an insect on the ground, making a very good meal for breakfast. Always on the ground, and that's why they're called ground hornbills. And definitely, it comes to darkness, they'll always will go on top of trees to spend the night. Well, Steve Ovo is still tracking, and I think he got some interesting stuff for us.
Thanks, David. Yeah, well, we found tracks of Hosanna moving. Here's the track over here, a leopard foot. You can see the back pad here, and then the toes. This is back foot. But what we found here, very fresh vomit. He's gone and eaten some green grass, and it's gone and regurgitated. There, that dung beetle was actually around with his vomit for some reason. But it is quite gross, to be honest. This is very fresh. Look how wet it is still. If you're quite a sensitive viewer, I wouldn't look at this. But they often do this. They'll eat grass to cause them to vomit up fur balls or anything else. Yeah, that's actually hard to look at. I do apologize. A little bit of a mock charge happening there. But they go and they eat the grass to vomit up fur balls, any bone that might be stuck in the tummy, hair that they can't digest. There's nothing in there. a lot of mucus and bleh. Anyway, these tracks are fresh. That is still very, very moist. And he's headed in this direction. We're cutting through this road. Is called Ingwe Alley. Pangolin track is on that side, and sort of Chelepan is in that direction. So he's heading east towards the Umawati. His tracks are still here in the road. Let's see if we can keep up with him. We've lost complete sight or audio of those elephant somewhere off in that direction. We're going to leave them be. It's very, very thick. Very nice tracks here. If someone had found these earlier, I reckon we would have found the chief already. But anyway, this is a road he loves to spend time on. There's lots of small little mud wallows and pans, just like this one up ahead. And, well, first of all, he drank at one just back there. Nice to drink at these, and also there's areas where sort of small antelope will hang out with regards to not only the feeding of the nice grass there, but the moisture. So we know the little chief likes to hang around watering holes and pans. And along this road, Ingwe Alley, meaning Leopard Lane, is exactly where we've had him. Hukumuri, Tingana, Tandi, many, many times. So it's a very, very productive area. And a lot of it's to do with the fact that there's a dry riverbed or drainage line along here, quite thick bush, heading down to the dry river of the Umawati. Beautiful habitat for Deka, Impala, Nyala, warthog even. So there's lots of animals moving in and out, and these areas are very productive for the spotted cats. But now trying to see him through these thickets, well, you can lose a herd of elephant. Not easy to see a spotted camouflaged cat, but we are on his tracks here, and we'll try see if we can find him. We've got some time still. I do apologize for the sliminess of that vomit, folks. Oof, I thought I was actually going to do okay. There he is. It nearly made me follow suit. But I keep going. He's cut through this little game path here, which goes straight past another muddy wallow, and this one's going straight down to the drainage. We've had Osana many times just down here. Do you remember, Darby? We were actually in this once, the vehicle, on the TV shows. Yeah, here he comes. Very, very fresh. Very fresh. Herbie's just up ahead of us. He's on the trail. He can probably smell the tracks. Melissa, I would love to see Osana. I haven't seen him since I've been back. I've only been back 2 days, so I'm sure it'll happen. He is my favorite little boy. Not so little anymore, though. He is definitely growing. We thought we saw him 2 days ago. We were playing hacky sack by our camp, and I saw something in the distance, which turned out to be a log. But while we were watching the log, a leopard walked past. I didn't get a proper look at it, but it was a leopard. Most likely the little chief himself. Okay, well, while we walk along and check this drainage depression, looking and listening for alarm calls, see if we might be able to find him. Let's go to Sitters and see what he's up to.
I have just gone past the Buffalo's Hook Dam. I'm trying to investigate Hosana's tracks here, which seems to be very much difficult. Maybe we're going to be lucky somewhere in the middle here. I've been to Twins Dam, I've been to Treehouse Dam, but all those dams I never saw a sign of Hosana. Except for the male leopard track I saw heading towards the private concession. Maybe we might be lucky somewhere here in the middle, as I want to check another small part where there is water available. It is not a big dam, it's just a small pan. Maybe if we can try from there, we might be lucky, because these animals, it's easy to track them from the water hole. Oh, more elephants are sleeping. Elephants are sleeping again here where I am. You can see two are sleeping, one is standing, lying down flat. Right there you can see So you can see today is like it's an elephant sleeping day. They are demonstrating their ability to sleep. These animals are active for about 18 to 20 hours. They are on festive holiday. You can see they can sleep for only 2 hours during the day, sometimes another 2 hours at night, under a very nice shade. Ninamu, I have heard the elephants snoring before. They do snore, the elephants. So sometimes you come and you see the elephants sleeping. They like to lie down and use these termite mounds, small termite mounds, as a pillow. And you will hear them snoring. They can take turns, but if you can check, elephants don't really have a lot of predators. So the only threat to them is human beings and the diseases. So they don't have to really watch what is happening in their surrounding. Yes, some other predators such as lions, sometimes they do try to tease the elephants. It's quite a difficult exercise. Elephants are not easy. So you can see those ones who are standing are also very much big. So the ones lying down so far, I'm seeing just 2. So this is the area I am going to try and see if we can find any of these spotted cats. So let's hope for the best. Maybe before we finish, we might be lucky with any of these leopards here. Let me get the tracks first. So tracks builds us a lot of confidence. So now let's go to the rainy Masai Mara.
The rains have stopped and everything looks good, and I think I am in my best and everything is very colorful now. I can see more or less 180 degrees, which is something really I love to do. And one of the frustrations when it rains, you are kind of zeroed in one particular angle, you know. You are narrowed to one particular small area, just where you look, you cannot look left or right. But still very slippery, as you can tell, or you can see how the car is moving left and right. I left my males, the sausage males or the Oldonyo pike males, and that's not me. That's how the car wants to go. And that's the black cotton soil. So normally when it gets very bad, we'll always engage the four-wheel drive for us to make the car much heavier. I'm just seeing something from a distance, not sure what it is. And just making the car much heavier. I could be seeing something. Looks like lions, looks like logs, you never know. I'm talking about that direction. Past that tree there, these girls and cubs have disappeared. I just want to be sure because it took... Carol and Dory, you are very right. There's nothing better as the smell of rain. What's happening now, everything's smelling so fresh. And I would want to spend the rest of the day out here. And I'm sure if you come to Africa, I don't know where, Carol Gale, you come from, but you come to Africa, it even smells better here. I'm not sure what I'm saying, but it smells even better here because even without the rains, because of the kind of environment that we have, that is always clean, fresh. We have the trees which act as our, lungs to get all the anything not pure out. But when it rains, everything is just buried and it remains very fresh. It's so green, as you can all see. And I'm wondering why I did not see those guards of the sausages. Rina, you're saying, or you're asking, do lions fall sick in the cold rain? Yes, we have seen them once in a while, being some cold or some kind of flu. It's very possible. Just like human beings, even us, when it rains, we'll always have or try to have an extra cover or so. But still, when it gets very cold, we also pick up some infection. So same case to the lions. They'll also get some kind of infection. Not very big, because somehow they always come back very quickly from what they eat. But I would say, unlike human beings, who anytime you get rained on, we got run and get our ponchos, we get umbrellas, we go look for shelters. These lions are always out here, and they're always dealing with the rain almost every other day. So somehow it's rather difficult for them to get a proper infection because of the rain. But small colds, small little sneezes here and there once in a while happens. All right, Sausage Republic, here we are, and sorry guys, that's getting a little bit muddy there. It's the geology of the soil I was talking about, the black cotton soil, and that's exactly what happens, and it gets very sticky and the car keeps going in all directions. But I can tell you, I am enjoying it myself. It's forcing me to look in particular areas. Maybe the next time I have that kind of twist or turn, my eyes might end up on the sausages. Not sure when these rains will stop, but if they continue like this, we'll have so many areas that we shall call no-go zone, you know, because it gets very, very sticky with this kind of black cotton soil. Wondering where these lions could be today. At least I've seen the males. You know, happy I've seen the males, which also tells me the females are not very far from there. The only challenge is to know exactly where they are. But again, as I said, even with the current rains, it becomes pretty tricky to try and go or penetrate much deeper in the bushes, because you do not want to get stuck. I think I've been out for the last 3 hours or so, and I have not seen one other car with guests. So the certain areas, even the other guides will be very careful not to go. So what I'm saying, I don't want to get stuck on my own here, and there'll be nobody to come and get me out. So we'll always be very careful, but should we have to get stuck, we get stuck, and we'll always have formulas and ways of getting ourselves out. Gator, you're asking, do animals get allergy? Yes, I would say they get allergy. Just like us, or just like you, Geka, when you sneeze. I've seen, you know, during the dry times, unlike now when it's raining, watching, you know, lions laying down, or cheetahs, or leopards, once in a while, sneezing, and meaning they'll pick some allergen of some sort in the air. Yes, I would say, just like any other mammal, animals will also get allergies. Well, we got some toppies here, and not toppies, that are hartwist, which many times will always confuse them to be lions from a distance. It's just some hartwist there, and from a distance you'll always say, oh, lions, lions, but they're just hartwist, very similar to the toppies. We've got lots of them here in the Mara. There's a jackal there. Where did the jackal come from? Interesting to see a jackal on. Sorry, I didn't mean to be too loud. White tip tail there. I don't know why he is alone. He should be having... Yes, are you trying to hunt some birds there? There was a yellow-throated longclaw there, and I think she missed it. Maybe she could be looking for some eggs or some birds on the ground there. That's what normally they feed on, as much as they also hunt for themselves. And you'll notice that's what exactly that hartebeest is looking at. Not that it can go to her, but chances are they do not like anything looking cattish. Most animals here in the wild are always a little bit scared, and they don't want to take any chances with them. Hello, hartebeest. And they tend to be found in a particular area. You might go in the Mara and drive without, getting or to see this hartebeest. I think there's a particular type of food they'll always want to feed on. Now they're comfortable with the jackal, and I think the jackal might have gotten something for herself to feed on. Sometimes you'll get these hartebeests putting a lot of mud on their horns just to make them look big, but that's done more on the topish. That one has like a torn ear. The left ear looks like it's torn. You'd wonder whether it's something genetical or is it because of age, but still looking much closer into the ear. They look very beautiful. Well, the hartebeest keep feeding. Watch out of that particular jackal. Let's take you to Steve Ovo, the gentleman who is doing tracking.
Well, we came around the drainage line that we thought he'd gone into. We heard some squirrels' alarm calling, and we spotted him walking off into the distance. Looks like we found the little chief. Squirrels are still shouting behind us here. Just trying to see if we can get another idea of where he's going. He's heading straight towards Ilmawati. It's the same drainage line we were talking about before, heading straight down towards that area. We've seen him a couple times. Not the best visual, not the best view of him, just basically his bottom as he walks away. But the characteristic slow walk of the little chief, he's not bothered by seeing us on foot. Tingana is very shy. His dad, he generally moves off. You never see him on foot. But Osana, very relaxed, very chilled out leopard. We still need to give him space though. We're trying to follow the alarm calls of the birds and the animals as he walks through. This is, as I was talking about, typical leopard sort of habitat. Thickets either side, lots of animals moving in here for the shade, for the food. And obviously if there are puddles of water, they move in for that as well. Let's just see if we can keep up with him here. Not sure. It's really tricky to track along this little bit. Everyone is flapping that we found him. Well, we now need to get Sydney in. He's going to come from a little bit further south from us. We'll probably get a better view of him than we would, obviously on foot. But he's slowly walking. If he keeps up this direction, he's going to head straight back towards Voyatela Pan. So he seems to be doing just these big concentric loops around the watering holes. And by doing so, he's walking, and obviously any animal that he comes across along the way, he can hunt. A lot of the animals, Dacre example, hiding in these thickets, rely on their camouflage and their stealth to avoid detection. What do you think, Herbie? Hello, Janelle. You want to know why he's called the Little Chief? Hosana means Little Chief, and he's basically the son of the Duke, or Tingana, who would be also the chief. So he's the son of the chief. So that's where Hosana comes from. It's a name given to him by obviously the local guys who work here. And he was born 2.5 years ago. Now, February would be 2 years. So it's almost 3 years. Almost 3. It'll be 3 years in February. He's a fantastic young leopard. Very, very successful. He's probably the most documented, in my opinion, hunter that I've ever come across. Jonathan, I don't know if he's big for his age. His dad is a big leopard, so genetically he's going to be a big leopard. I think he's on average about where he needs to be for his age right now. I haven't seen him though properly since September. But I mean, I heard Jamie talk about how much he's grown since she last saw him, and no doubt when I see him, he's probably going to have a much thicker neck. He still had a little bit of a small neck in comparison. Tingana's got this enormous neck, this dewlap, just big face and big feet, and well, Osana's feet are definitely filling out, but he's still got some growing to do. But we're just moving around, see if we can pick up on his tracks while we're also scanning the undergrowth. He's not the shy kind of leopard that will run away if he sees you, but he also isn't going to run. He's just going to walk, and if you don't see him or find the tracks, well, then he's invariably going to be gone. We've got Herbie. He's on the tracks. We'll try to see where he came through. We had him walking kind of in this direction, but we've lost all sight of, all sound of the alarm calls. Fortunately, in this vegetation, very hard to find cats. I mean, have a look around, have a look how thick it is. He just blends in there. It was just a moment that he stepped out into the light that we managed to see him. And just like that, gone once again. Okay, well, we're going to keep going over here to where Herbie is, see if we can find any of his tracks. I know that David Gitu up in the Mara is a big fan of Hosanna himself. He'd love to come back and visit him, but it seems like the rain is gone. Let's go back there.
Well done, Stivovo, for having located Hosanna. And I've always said this a few times, or many times. Hosanna was my very first leopard to see in Juma when I was there a couple of months ago. And it's exciting when I hear someone have spotted him, and especially on foot. That is even more exciting. Well, I'm heading to a different direction. I thought I'll go to a different area to chance for the sausage girls because they're not anywhere near the males. The males did not help us a lot. But apparently the rains are coming back again. We have a girl by the name of M who is directing the show from the final control, and she made a very great comment when she saw us without the cover. She said, "Wow, you look wonderful without the covers." So I do not want to disappoint her. I will tell her maybe before long we might have the covers back. But hopefully that kind of weather we have now going to hold. We can get some drops coming from a distance, and we're just hoping this will continue for the next couple of minutes. And if we don't get the sausage, the girls, I'll be coming back here this afternoon maybe to see if I will get the girls. Thing is, I just now have to move on, and hopefully the rains don't get bigger than they are now. And something tells me, I've always said, once you're in the park, you never say never until you are totally outside or until you have completely come out of the game reserve. So I'm just hoping and crossing fingers something will happen before long. I'll be so excited to see those girls. But because of the rain, I still got a feeling they're just sheltering those cubs away from the rain. At that very tender age, they become quite delicate, and I'm sure they don't want to take any chances of them getting infected. Well, some giraffe here. Some giraffe very close to the road. Giraffe, any news of the sausages? Just maybe pause and look. Sometimes we might get these lions roaring or the males calling the females, and that might help us know where the girls are. Alrighty, we might have to wipe our lens for a few seconds because I think it got a bit of water, but as those are moving there, we'll also have to move on. You can see that we're just galloping and running. They are very tall animals, and the center of gravity is always quite high. Very good. We might have to keep going. So, I mean, giraffes are always nice to see because of their tall height. I just want to talk to my friend here for a couple of seconds, and then we'll keep going. It's a friend of mine who I've not met for a long time. Baby, mambo, vichwa? Ujasikia, eh? Sawa sawa. Sawa sawa. Siku njema, eh? Very good. It's a friend of mine. I was asking them for any update on the female sausages, and they told me they have not seen any. These are the Maasai giraffes. Being browsers, they'll just walk through the grass but not feed or, get any of the grass there. Linda, great comment. And in the Mara, the advantage we have here, Linda, is because of the openness of the vegetation here, the savanna. You'll see them like almost whole body, the whole height. The only thing we can't see maybe just the anchors, but I'm sure you can see the whole body, Linda, of these very tall animals of Africa. A few of the types of species we got, apart from this, we also got the northern giraffe, we got the lenticular giraffe, and also the Rothschild's giraffe. These ones are the Maasai, very majestic when they walk, 2 and 2. And I'm sure they're heading to that fig tree there, not definitely feed on it, but most likely to shelter themselves from the rain. That's my guess. Quite tall animals they are, and they've been known to trim or to reach a tree, getting the leaves or the twigs. That's a huge fig tree, one of the most iconic trees of the Mara. Justin M says it's pretty huge. That's it's the fig tree, and they're very iconic of the Mara. I haven't seen giraffes eating them, but sometimes I've seen them browsing on the fig fruits when they ripen, when they fall down. You can see the dark clouds in the background there. Not sure that will be meaning more rain. Still very greyish. More rains maybe later in the day. But I think we've done pretty well for this morning. All right, we keep going, and hopefully we might catch this sausage gas on the way somewhere. Who knows? Okay. Wonderful giraffes. I would really wanted to see them early in the morning when it was still very dark and get a silhouette of them. Going down through a drainage here. Hopefully don't lose my signal. Coming up, I think I did well. Very good. Excellent. Very bizarre weather, I would say. Very unusual. But again, you know, we take it as it comes. Not much we can do concerning the weather. And I was talking to a friend of mine of the meteorological department the other day, and he told me the rains that we have now might continue to next year. Very good. We'll keep chanting on the sausages on the way. But let's first go back to Sydney in South Africa.
I'm standing by. I am now heading on a vulture's nest to come and see if Hosanna is not in the area here. Yeah, I have it coming. So I'm just assisting the bushwalk. They have located some Hosanna tracks around here. We might be lucky and see something. Yeah, the bush is so very thick here. So they've got the fresh tracks in this block. Yeah, I have it coming. No luck yet. Maybe we're gonna be lucky around here with a spotted cat. Kaylin, I didn't copy your question very nicely. Kayleen, the mating activities on these animals, they are determined by the age. And it's very rare to find a leopard starting mating at young age. Maybe he might start engaging on mating activities when he is older than 4 years, which is normally which is normal to all these male leopards. But when they are less than 4 years, they are not yet strong enough to defend themselves in order to establish a territory. No luck yet in this area here where we are. So now let's quickly go back to the bushwalk.
Thanks to this. Well, Sydney's in the area now. Hassan's tracks came across this drainage and kind of moved off away back central, which is kind of where he is now. So hopefully he's going to find him. But all of you will know that yesterday was Tuesday, Tracking Tuesday. So a couple of you got the answer right. Let me just open it up. Okay, so here is the... Darby, how would you like me to do that? Here is the question. Tracking Tuesdays. And what can easily be seen, especially when you've got an amazing capability to zoom, is that there is a scrape mark over here. There's a scrape mark over there, and there's some form of moisture on the floor here. What's easily seen as well is that there's a track over here. I wonder if you can all see that.
That doesn't look great.
Not great, eh?
Maybe if you just turn it around.
Try this way. Maybe I can up my brightness. Sorry, folks. Technology. How's that, Darby?
Yep.
Okay, so here you can see there's a back pad and there's some toes over there. And what's interesting is that that knife there is about 10 centimeters in size. That track there is far bigger than the knife, which means that it is a lion track. And the track, or the scrape marking, is a very good indication that it is a lion scent marking. Now lions, when they're scent mark, they scratch their two back feet together and then they urinate on the ground. Both males and females will do that, and being much bigger than a leopard track, it's quite easy to see the size between that being there and there is much bigger than the knife. 14. It is difficult to see. I do apologize for the phone, but if you looked closely on the picture you would have been sent on Instagram, you would have been able to see that track there. There's the back pad, and there are the toes over there. Okay, so it is indeed a lion scent marking. Tracking Tuesdays once again. Herbie has got something. Let's quickly go. Come, we've got to go very quietly. I think it might be elephants that he's got. He's giving me this indication with the ear. Osana was moving in this direction. It's very important that we keep very quiet, very close together, so come very closely. Just going to talk very softly. Possibly something just down here in the riverbed. Herbie got very excited. I thought maybe he'd spotted the little chief. It's possible that Osana, if there were elephants, avoided them. Elephant. What have you got? What have you got, Herbie? Okay. So he's got some elephants down there in the drainage, but not ideal. You know, come around this way. Keep coming. Constantly looking still for some tracks. Looking for tracks on the ground. observing. Is there leopards anywhere? Where is the leopard? Where is the elephant? Always keep you on your toes on bushwalk. It's magical. Magical feeling. Lots of birds alarm calling as well. Very good chance that the little chief is past whatever Herbie saw. I haven't seen the elephants, but if we're not going any closer, it means that he's not happy with any approach there. So we're just going to keep following him up ahead here. There's all sorts of birds shouting, chattering up ahead here. Here's the elephant there, eh? On the other side, Darby, can you see him? Tracy, you're on the edge of your seat. Well, so are we, if we had a seat. There's something very special about being on foot out in the African wilds. There is the elephant. Herbie's moved around the corner. I think he might have a better view, but it looks like a young male. So let's go a little bit further around, see if we can get a better view of him. Birds are shouting and screaming over here. Probably got more than one big five in the sighting, but we've just got to keep our eyes open, see if we can see him. Here we go. Here's the elephant. That looks like a male on the right, but on the left over there, there's some big shade trees. There's a whole breeding herd of elephant underneath there. Wind is just turned. It's not enough favour anymore. It's coming along on my back. So we're going to move back from here because the wind is blowing straight from us to this elephant. I don't think they really know that we're here, but we're going to keep going with Herbie over there because we don't have too much cover. Let's rather just keep moving. Yeah, very good, Emma. I think we will go back over to David. I don't know if we're going to find Hosanna now, bombarding through and past all these elephant.
Rains have come back again. I have my windshield up because it's drizzling again, and this is very unusual. Normally we'll get the rains here in Africa in the afternoons or at night. But once in a while, we'll get them in the mornings, like today. And for me, as I said earlier, I love rain. I am enjoying it. And since I was this big, I've always enjoyed the rain. And I think we have done pretty well today with all the animals you've been watching. I cannot complain. My only worry is I need to see those girls of the sausages. I need to find out where they are. I need to see those cubs, know how they're doing. And those two females that we expect them to bring us new joys, new bundles of joy. See how they're doing. One of them is King Kittel, as I said. We call her King Kittel because she got a bend, or she got a bent tail. But there's one other female there that we haven't named, who is so big. I've been always thinking either she has 4 cubs. Lionesses will always have 1 to 4 cubs, sometimes 3, sometimes 2. But the 2 in that particular pride, each one of them has gotten 2. Well, I think it has been a wonderful morning with all the rains I've been going through. My cover's down, my rain cover's down. Up the next minute, now the rain's coming, my windshield is there. This has been pretty cool. And my 2 male lions that I saw, the old Donyo Pike males, that's nice to see, as much as I didn't see the girls. And Sydney with the Nukuhumas, it's lovely to see the lions there. But I think the most interesting thing was for Steve to spot my favorite, or my first leopard to see in Juma, Hosanna. Well, I would want to thank all of you for having tuned in for this morning. And remember, we'll be out again this afternoon. On behalf of Sydney, Steve, myself, all the cam-ups who have done a wonderful job, and the people in the final control, thank you very much, and see you again this afternoon. From all of us, thank you and goodbye.